Good morning, everybody. This is Erin King coming to you with the first of hope to be many future monthly market reports. We're going to start out with an October 2021 report, and we're going to talk about everything that happened in September up to, maybe about the first week of October. So if information has changed between now and then, keep an eye out for the weekly reports. We're going to do a condensed version once a week just to make sure that all of the people who are running around in my sphere, you have the best, most current information in the world of real estate. So let's get things going. I'm so happy to have you here today. We're going to be talking about everything there is to know in the real estate market, not only in Jacksonville, Florida, where I serve, in Northeast Florida, but nationwide. My buyers, we want you to win those multiple offer situations. And sellers, we just want you to understand what's really going on in the world right now, because it is totally bananas to navigate today's whitewater real estate mania. It's completely insane out there, and it has been for over a year. Sellers are delusional about their pricing. Buyers think the market's already crashed. It's chaos. And what we're here for as realtors is to shed some light on things. We're here to be your flashlight in the dark. We're here to advise more than anything. At least that's how I see my job. So I want to make sure you have the best information. We want to make sure you're working with skilled professionals, because you don't go out and spend several $100,000 every day. Okay? It's the most expensive asset you'll ever buy or sell, and it is usually better for you to work with a skilled professional. We put more money back in your pocket. Yes, I do get paid, but my goal is to put more money in your pocket. So I'm going to start out today with an update on pricing. And I'm sure it's no big secret at all that pricing has been completely insane here in the United States in the last year and a half. But let's talk about this quote from Bill McBride of Calculated Risk, where he says, "My sense is the Case-Shiller Index national annual growth rate of 19.7% is probably close to its peak. And year-over-year increases will slow later this year." So what does this mean? Well, as a consumer or an investor, you see things like prices are peaking and the media's, everything's getting ready to crash and everything's crazy. Well, price increases will probably going to just slow down later this year, okay? Sparking questions of uncertainty. And what I'm going to do today is bring some context and some clarity on what's happening with prices and what to expect moving forward. And folks, by the way, I had to be drugged kicking and screaming to get on this video today. I've been told for years I need to do more video. So I apologize if this isn't overproduced or crazy. This is from the hip. I'm standing here in my home office, and I just want to make sure that I am counteracting a lot of the misinformation that I see every day. So over time, these videos will get better, I promise. This one today is my first one, so please don't be too vicious. I apologize if it's cringy, but they always say you don't like the sound of your own voice. I'm one of those people. I don't like the way I sound. But I was also told by my real estate coach not too long ago, Tom Ferry, and he's like, "Shut up, get over it. Everybody knows what you sound like. Nobody cares. You've got good information. Make sure it's getting out there." So this is my contribution. I'm not looking to make a buck out of this. I just want you guys to know what's going on, okay? So let's take a look at home price appreciation over the last year. This is the latest data we have. FHFA, or the Federal Housing and Finance Agency House Price Index. And I know that's a mouthful, trust me. What they're saying is 19.2%. CoreLogic is at 18%. And again, the S&P Case-Shiller Index is at 19.7%. Folks, this is dramatic for a real estate market. I'm going to move my ugly mug around the screen here a little bit too, so you can kind of see what's going on. I'm going to try and stay on top of that while we're going through this. These price appreciations are completely they're dramatic. They're just crazy. A really healthy real estate market, you're talking 5, maybe 6% per year. This year, I think it was in April, correct me if I'm wrong, but NAR put some data out there, the National Association of Realtors. They put some data out there that said that the national average in the United States home price appreciation appreciated at 11.9% for 1 month. 1 month. That's over 100% per year if you annualize that. It's crazy. It's totally bananas. And as we look at things largely over the next few months, okay, we're simply going to say two things. We have a supply and demand issue. There are simply not enough homes on the market to meet the demand from buyers. And so what's going on right now? Well, what's going on is the millennials waited to buy their homes. They waited for years to buy their homes. They're the most populous demographic of human beings on the planet. They outnumber the baby boomers, compounded by the fact that a lot of Gen Zers are getting into the market early. And so you've created these market conditions that are not sustainable in any market ever in the history of the United States. So let's take a look at what this looks like across the country. This is our price appreciation map year over year for the second quarter of 2021. Now you can see that the states in red have over 20% price appreciation. As a whole, we're looking at 17.4%. I'm gonna move my face around here a little bit. But let's take a look at some craziness here. Okay, Florida, we've been at 18.9%. That's just kind of crazy. But let's look at Idaho up here, 37.1%. Everybody says California is crazy, California is terrible, everybody's leaving, everybody's blah, 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 so on and so forth. 20.2% price increase. Arizona, 23.9. These are insane numbers. Now we're starting to see the forecast going forward, and experts are projecting moving forward that we're going to see less appreciation. We're going to see a deceleration. So let's talk with Ivy Zellman from Zellman and Associates. Closings are set to decline roughly 10% year over year in the second half of 2021. And home price appreciation is on the cusp of flipping to a decelerating trend. So what does this mean? I want to hang on to that word decelerating for a moment, because that's where we need to provide the clarity. When consumers at large hear the word decelerating, they immediately think depreciation. Everything's crashing. When was the last time you were driving in your car and you had the cruise control on and you hit the button to turn the cruise control off, or you simply tap the brake? The car does what? It decelerates, right? It slows down from 75 to a crisp 55. But you feel it in the driver's seat. You feel yourself come forward a little bit, and you feel the car slow down. That is what's going on in the real estate market right now, okay? We're feeling a deceleration. But hear me correctly. I didn't say we slammed on the brakes or ran into a tree, okay? We're not seeing it depreciate. We're not expecting, or are we seeing depreciation in the market, okay? What experts are projecting is that we're just going to be appreciating at a decelerated rate. So instead of prices doing this all the time, we're going to go back to this. But what they're not projecting is they're not projecting flat, and they're certainly not projecting down. Okay? So what does this look like? Well, the Home Price Expectations Survey from Pulsenomics recently came out with their home price appreciation expected price increases of 11.74% for the rest of 2021. So that means continued appreciation. And what we also see is that it's not as massive of what we've seen over the past year, with 18 to 19, almost 20% price appreciation. So a more moderate pace through the rest of this year. And going forward, as we look at 2022, 2023, and beyond, we see continued appreciation, just at a slower pace. So let me break this down a little bit further. This is the expected home value change, and it also comes from the Home Price Expectation Survey. So you saw that 11.74% price appreciation for 2021, and if we average out the 5 years that I just showed you on the previous slide, the annual average through 2025 is about 5.7%. Now we know that the historical norm for price appreciation is about 3.8%. But the historical norm has even been bumped to 4.1% due to the price appreciation just over the last year. That's how significant it is. We have 100 plus years of real estate historical data. And for 1 year to move the needle that much, that's bananas, folks. And then cumulatively through 2025, home price appreciations are expected to appreciate 31.8% if we add up the next 5 years. So home prices are still rising, again, due to supply and demand, and are not expected to decline. And so what's important is that we help one another understand that buying now, before home prices continue to accelerate, is important. So getting in while mortgage rates are still low is also critical. Because again, we said prices are going to go up, and we're going to talk about interest rates here in a little bit too. And the news on that isn't that they're going down, okay? We know that mortgage rates are going to start ticking up, and we know that home prices are going to start doing the same thing. So if you can find a home now, buying is mission critical to long-term wealth advantage. And you know, we always say if we could go back 10 years and do it again, right? If we could go back 10 years and do it again, if I could go back to 2011, if I could wind that back another 10 years to 2001, I've never met anybody that would say, oh no, I would not buy another house if I had the opportunity, knowing now what I know, knowing then what I know now, right? In fact, most people would say, oh, I'd buy 2 or 3 or however many I could get my hands on. They're just going to be, the home prices are just going to continue to appreciate at a decelerated pace for the rest of the year and probably into next year as well. The other question that many people are asking about right now, what about the fourth quarter? How is this year going to end up? And normally about this time, market sort of, again, does the cruise control thing. It sort of decelerates a little bit. The bulk of the buyers are done buying for the year. They're nestled in, they're nested. They're getting ready for the holidays. And so, you know, but it hasn't been a normal year. You know, the panacea of the pandemic has been crazy. So it's really hard for forecasters to figure out what's going on. So for the next couple of minutes, I'm going to explain the position of forecasters are in, and we're going to really need to talk about what to think about as we move forward. And then we're going to wrap up and talk about interest rates. Probably one of the most significant issues right now is that people are looking at are rising interest rates, because for every little tick you go up, it's an exponential increase in long-term cost to owning a property. And buyers are always buying at the top of their budget. Why? Because you're people, and that's just what you do. Okay, you know, if the bank says you can afford a $500,000 house, you're automatically like, oh, I'm going to go find a house for $550. We'll talk them down. It's fine. Don't worry, folks. We're realtors. We know you do it. We expect it. It's fine. Are those the market conditions? If you do that now, is that successful frequently? No, not so much. But that's just stuff you have to learn as a buyer. And we're here to help you, walk you through that. So let's start here with Dana Olick. I'm sorry if I murdered your name, from CNBC. And she says fall is usually the start of the slower season for the housing market, but nothing is usual in today's pandemic-driven housing market. Potential home buyers are seeing a slight rise in inventory, consequently rushing back into the fray. Now, I don't know if they're rushing back into the fray, but I can certainly say people are noticing that. And we've had a lot of things happen in the last few weeks. Buyers are calling again. They're trying to get back in. Okay. Mortgage applications to purchase a home jumped 7% last week from the previous week. And that's the highest level it's been since April of this year. So people are saying, hey, we want back in. We're seeing rising inventory levels. And to give you some context, in our Northeast Florida MLS up here in January of 20, we were bumping around about 10,000 doorknobs available for sale up here. And that's not rentals, it's just sales. Okay, and those homes were selling in about 125 to 130 days, depending on your marketplace. So then you fast forward to January of 21. And if you might want to sit down for this because you might fall down. Okay. I think it was the third Monday in January. I was checked every Monday. And I looked it up, and I think we had 942 doorknobs available for sale in our 6-county MLS. That's less than a neighborhood, folks. And those homes were selling in 23 days on average. It was totally bananas. This Monday, we have 3,400 units, and the days on market are starting to skip out a little bit. But it's still a very aggressive market. It's just not the market we had earlier this year. And so the bottom line is forecasting sales is complicated right now because of these 3 lines. You've got 2019 here that looks like a pretty normal year. We've got 2020 that looks like somebody grabbed the wheel and started yanking around because pandemic, right? And then you see 2021, excuse me, the green line right here, okay? Because of low interest rates, the needs of homeowners are changing constantly. Many people rushed back into the market and it became this abnormal year, okay? We sold more homes last year than we've sold before, period, ever. We know the story of that. So let me break down why it seems like things are slowing down. And this is probably the best visual I could give you about why it seems that way. Remember the front half of the year. A lot of people took their homes off the market. You know, first of all, we have the pandemic in March, April of last year. We couldn't sell anything. If you were in some of the states, not Florida, but if you were in many states, you couldn't sell real estate at all. Like everybody was done, okay? And so houses came off the market. Sellers were afraid to put their houses on the market. They didn't want to deal with people in their homes. It was unsafe, okay? And the businesses slowed. The economy slowed down. We had toilet paper catastrophe of 2020. Now, if you were lucky like us, we had bidets in our house and it didn't matter. But there were so many people, like we watched a guy one day at the Publix down the street, like he was front stocking cabbage and milk. I mean, people were just like off their rockers a little bit. So, you know, you can't count 2020 as a normal year. Then you get into the Delta variant and things were hopping back up again. And as soon as the Delta variant really started to get some traction, global productivity started to fall off again because everybody's afraid again and everybody's inside and nobody's doing what they normally do, okay? Well, we're about to enter a time in the latter half of the reporting season, the end of the summer, into the fall and winter. And again, I apologize if I talk kind of fast, but that's just me. Feel free to stop and pause and go backwards. But we're going to see, we packed in a ton of business last year, and we're going to be below that orange line. And folks are going to say, oh my God, hey, we're down year over year. Folks, 2020 is not a good year to measure anything, okay? You really probably should just get rid of it entirely because it's bonkers, okay? Please just realize that the kind of situation we're heading into. But the reality is we're beating 2019. We're beating it. Let me say it again for you. We're beating it. So when I isolated 2019 and 2021 here on the screen, you can see where we're at. And so the reality is we saw 2019 being one of the best real estate markets in 10 years. And we're ahead of that right now. And this is a look at existing home sales that go all the way back to 2012. And you can see right here, 2019, the best year except for 2017. 1 year was a little bit better in existing home sales, but folks, we're doing very, very, very well. So if I take things back to where we were just a few moments ago, home sales were very, very difficult to forecast because forecasters don't know what's going to happen. Now, in a minute, I'm going to talk to you about why I believe what we really need to be talking about. But the truth right now is they're looking at it going, okay, we got a couple of different options here. We're going to come through here and level out or be in the middle of where we were in 2020 and above where we were in 2019. And what we're going to see happen is you're going to see half of the headlines say, we're ahead of where we were in 2019. And the other half are going to say, we're down year over year. Bulls and bears, bulls and bears. And there's going to be confusion in that. And this is the reality of the situation. Excuse me, I got a little crazy with my gadget there. We packed in so much business in the last year that we're going to be below that, no doubt. But we're going to be ahead of a very, very normal year. And that's the quandary that these forecasters are in right now. They don't know what to expect because things have been so unusual for the last couple of years. Now, the one thing I do think we need to look at if you want to know what the future of the real estate market is going to be, we want to look at active listings. And this is a look at active listings. There we go. I get a little behind, I get busy talking, and so forgive me with the PowerPoint thing. I'll get that figured out. But this is a look at active monthly listings counts for 2017, 2018, and 2019. Remember I said 2019 was the last typical year we saw. So we're going back 3 years, okay? And this is important historical data because this causes forecasting to become accurate. And what typically happens in our business of real estate is listings peak sometime in the fall and then drop off, and we repeat the cycle. So you can see here for the last 3 years before we got into the pandemic, 2017, 2018, 2019, listings peaking in the fall and then dropping off before starting over a new year. And then we know that after 2019, what brought 2020? Well, in 2020, monthly listing counts peaked in April. It inverted. So we're listing the home at the market in the spring, and that's when it peaked instead of peaking in the fall. And then everybody rushed back into the fray, and we started to dwindle listings across the country. It was like somebody just let all the buyers out, and everybody just flooded the market. We're going to go buy a house. Maybe it was because they could work remotely. Maybe it was because the city that they lived in had too many restrictions for them, and it affected their personal choices, and they wanted to move. But we've seen over the last 18 months, everybody, we've seen a human migration, the likes of which this country has never seen before, especially here in Florida. Whether you sit on the blue side of the aisle or the red side of the aisle, it doesn't matter to me. I'm simply saying the conditions have been created in the state of Florida that have put it into its golden age. That's right, you heard me say it. Florida right now is in its golden age. There are more people here moving here a month than this state can handle by far. In fact, I would go so far as to say for the average person to understand how many people are moving to Florida right now, you'd have to go back in the history books all the way to the late 70s and early 80s and look at California. That's how many people are coming here right now. And the simple fact of the matter is there's not enough homes. There's just not enough homes. So you've seen rents skyrocket and you've seen home prices skyrocket. Okay, but what we're not saying is, don't hear me saying crash, depreciation, foreclosures. We'll talk about that in a little bit here too. But anyways, these are the conditions that are going on. We simply have too much demand and not enough supply. So now this sets up the challenge moving forward to close the gap. As those listings dropped, sales shot up. Remember how we just looked at that graphic. So listings are going down, sales are shooting up. And the big question becomes now, when will listings peak this year? So if we saw listings drop last year, we troughed out here in the front part of the year, fewer listings on the market than we've seen. And the question is, when will they peak? And there are three scenarios here. One is they're going to continue to grow. And we're going to eclipse where we were in 2020. And that's going to give us a little bit of relief in the frenzy in the market and pricing relief. Because more homes on the market means more moderate pricing. More competition, lower prices. When I say lower, I mean less appreciation, not depreciation. Be very clear on that. And that's going to give us, the second option is that things flatten out and we continue there and probably intersect where we were in 2020 at some point. And then there is the third option where listings peak and begin to dwindle. If the third option happens, that's where you see more price appreciation. It's upward pressure on prices, and that will be the story. But I think there are three reasons why we will see continued listings going into the fall. First, all the pent-up seller demand. No doubt homeowners will be more comfortable putting their homes on the market as more people get back to normal. They feel comfortable from a health perspective doing so. Number two, new construction is finally starting to take off. Builders realize the opportunity. Again, you've got compression here. You've got exponential growth. You've got millennials, the most populous group of human beings on the planet, all hitting the market roughly at the same time. You've got Gen Z. A lot of Gen Z is buying homes early. Baby boomers selling their big homes and moving to smaller homes because that's just what do when it's time, right? Your 5,000 square foot house was cute when you were in your 30s and your 40s and it was awesome. When you're 70, it sucks to have to clean that house all the time. You got to heat it, you got to cool it, you got to clean it, you got to take care of it, you got to paint it, do the landscaping. It's awful. Everybody's moving around right now. The transitory movement of buyers right now is just unprecedented. So, the end of forbearance is the next thing, okay? It's going to create some new listings, but it's not going to cause this huge wave of foreclosures. But it will create a time in the market for people that say, you know what? We can't afford this home any longer. We're going to have to put the house on the market. So I think there's a lot of reasons right now why we'll see that listing number to begin to climb. But at the end of the day, we're going to just have to keep an eye on it. And the pricing today has increased equity in so many people's homes. And they're saying, you know what? We may take advantage of that equity. We may move, we may upsize, we may downsize, we may start a new business, we may pay off our student loans. There's a multitude of things you can do when you have that kind of equity in your home. And the kind of equity that people have in their homes is kind of unprecedented. You're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars in a lot of cases, okay? I know my house where I live in Avondale, one of Jacksonville's historic neighborhoods. I bought my house here, I bought my last house I bought here in 2016, and we've easily doubled value on our home here, easily, okay? And if you want to learn how to do that, we should probably talk, okay? Because that's just what I do. I've done it for myself for years, okay? And I want to help you do that. But in the meantime, let's stick to the subject matter. Now, the other big story right now is interest rates. There's no doubt we're going to start seeing some movement in interest rates for many different reasons. But I want to talk about that just for a minute, and certainly not here today. I'm not here today to say the sky is falling and interest rates are about to shoot up. In fact, that's just not who I am at all. I don't like to catastrophize everything. I'm emotional. I'm a really good consultant. I like to know my stuff. Okay. But the fact of the matter is we catastrophize way too much anymore. And if there's anything I want to do, I just want to put this in some sort of a realistic context so that you understand what's happening. Okay. So let's take a listen to Allie. Hold on. Sorry. There we go. Okay. Again, I'll get the PowerPoint thing squared away here. Allie Wolf, he's the chief economist at Zonda. And he says to us, the single biggest risk to housing is rising mortgage rates. It's a real possibility that next year it could bring prices down. Further, other economic, financial, and confidence challenges could also drop or flatten home prices. Still, a drop or flattening in home prices is a far cry from the crash we saw during the Great Recession. So Allie is saying, you know what? The biggest issue, the frenzy in the housing market could be rising interest rates. It's going to be more expensive for people to borrow money. Right now, the 30-year fixed has jumped a little bit over 3%. It's sort of crazy that we're talking about a rising interest rate environment when we had an average 30-year fixed of just over 3%. You see right here, as recorded by Freddie Mac on their weekly survey, just over 3%. And that jumped as we started to see indications of the Fed saying we're going to taper soon, the word they've used right now. Sam Cater from Freddie Mac says this: many factors led to this increase, including the Federal Reserve communicating that it will taper its support to the capital markets. Time out there. That's the soon element. The Fed came out and said, we've been buying mortgage-backed securities. Now we're going to start to taper that a little bit. We're going to start to pull back on that, and we'll do that coming up in the market, and the market's just going to have to price that in. He goes on to say the broadening of inflation and emerging energy supply shortages, which compound other material labor shortages. So the issue right here is the economy is recovering. It's not recovering as quickly as what they would like to see, but the Fed is saying, hey, we're going to start to taper on what we're buying in the mortgage market. So that's causing interest rates to go up. Okay. And understand something, folks. The Fed rate and mortgage rates, they're highly corollary, but they're not really tied. They're not directly tied to one another. Okay. What causes rates to go up is the Fed buying mortgage-backed securities. And if you want to know more about that, put a comment in the page. We'll talk about that at some point. Okay. And folks, anything you do want to talk about, if you want more subject matter, different subject matter, I want to hear it in the comments down below. I'm beginning to build content all the time, and it's probably something I just should have done a long time ago, like I said. So let's talk about what you want to talk about. I believe in the platinum rule. I want to treat you the way you want to be treated, okay? If your favorite color is blue, please don't make me guess that. Just tell me. I want to know what you want to know, okay? So here are the latest projections in interest rates from Fannie, Freddie, MBA, and NAR. And you can see somewhere around the middle to the third quarter of next year, about 3.5%. If we want to visualize this, we've got Freddie Mac up here, and you see the drop in rates through the pandemic and starting to inch back up. Freddie Mac's saying by the third quarter being around 3.7%. I don't know. I'm not here today to say this is where interest rates are going to be. Everything's a guessing game right now. I don't think it'll be 4, probably 3.25, somewhere in the middle. Maybe let's just call it 3.5. Okay. But no doubt interest rates are going to rise. And remind me at some point to talk about the 10X rule with regards to interest rates. Okay. So let's talk. I got a $400,000 loan that somebody may have to buy a house. And if they look at the 2 to 3 quarters, that payment is about $1,600. Right down here at the bottom, okay? If we go up to 3%, that's $1,686. Now, for a lot of people, or for some of my friends, some people I run around and they're like, $86? That's a big deal. Folks, for the average home, $86 is, that's gas. That's car insurance. That's cell phone bill. It's a lot of money. Remember, buyers are always buying at the top of their budget because that's what we do. That's just the way we're built, okay? So we see the 1633, but see the price affordability here as we go up. So at 2.75, I could buy a $400,000 house. If we jump that a quarter of a point, it took $60,000 of affordability out of my budget. So if interest rates go up and they're knocking on 4%, That rate now allows you to buy a lot less home. And we don't want to convince anybody to do anything they don't want to do, but we don't want to show them as the prices rise, as rates rise, it's going to cost more in the long run to buy a home and indeed to finance that home. So as we start to wrap up here, first of all, again, thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. I really appreciate it. If you found this valuable, let's make the YouTube algorithm happy. If you guys could, smash that like button, that would be super awesome. Or subscribe and subscribe to the channel. We're going to have some really great conversations moving forward. Hopefully we'll have some guest speakers on here as well. I always try to get my information from the best people in all the markets to give you, and that way I can give you the best advice. But let's talk a little bit about this quote from DS News here, which I thought was very good. It says, home ownership is one of the fundamental keys to accumulating wealth in America, hence why it has been integrally linked to achieving the American dream. Not only can owning a home provide a roof over your head and a secure place to live, but because mortgage payments generally remain fixed while rents may rise over time, a home can be a very effective hedge against inflation. Inflation's being talked a lot about right now. A home is a very effective hedge against inflation because you have a fixed payment. It goes on to say, together, these features can give homeowners an enormous advantage over renters when it comes to accumulating wealth. The opportunity for home ownership not only is a shelter, we know the financial, non-financial benefits of home ownership, but it helps people build wealth, undoubtedly, all across the country. The question right now, with rising interest rates, is our prices going up? Many people are saying, you know what, I don't want to buy right now because I don't want to buy at the top of the market. Folks, shut up. Stop trying to time the market. You're not a stock jock. That's what stock jockeys do. They try to time the market and they lose all the time. If you try to time the market, what you're telling me is you know more about the market than anybody else does. Your crystal ball seems to work better than everybody else's. You know what? It doesn't. Work with a professional real estate person, work with a professional mortgage person, talk to your financial advisor. There is a good buy in every market condition in history. There's always a good buy. You got to get your pencil out, you got to get your paper out, and you got to figure out how to make it work, okay? If it's the time for you to buy a house, then make it happen, okay? As always, these monthly market reports are here to just give you the best information we can bring you. I appreciate you spending all your time with me today. Contact me. My cell phone number is 904-999-1780. Let's have a chat. If you're in the Jacksonville market and we haven't had a chat and you're looking to sell your home, that's what I'm here for. If you're looking to buy, that's what I'm here for. I'm here to be a great advisor. In the meantime, I look forward to talking to you in the future. Hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, and have a great day.